That's right. We're back. UFC 262 in the books. We have a new lightweight champion in Charles Oliveira. And we're here to talk with all of you about everything that happened tonight in Houston, Texas. This is the UFC 262 post-fight show. I am Mike Heck. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the card. It was pretty crazy, pretty chaotic, and it ended in emphatic fashion. Also joined by the Prince of Positivity, Alex K. Lee.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm feeling positive. Feeling positive about a lot of the things we saw tonight.
Good. And on the ones and twos, we got Casey Leydon. Go ahead, Casey.
I'm just wondering, is AK, are you inside an egg? What is this?
I'm inside. Yeah, I'm inside an egg. I'm actually inside of an egg. I found it's a good recording studio. I like the acoustics in it. I'm inside. Yes, I'm inside a massive egg.
There you go. Well, listen, kind of like the pre-fight shows, we like to turn it over to the peeps. We're going to do that for most of this program as well. Me and Casey already sort of responded to the main event, but AK, you are now here. We have a new champion in Charles Oliveira. The fight was bananas. Oliveira takes Chandler's back. Looked like things are getting pretty dicey. Chandler explodes out. Hurts Oliveira badly. Almost finishes the fight. And then the second round begins. And old Du Bronx, 19 seconds into the second round, puts Michael Chandler away. Crazy fight. Your thoughts on the finish and Oliveira having that championship belt wrapped around his waist?
Charles Oliveira, I tweeted this earlier. He is now the best lightweight in the world. That's right. I've been trumpeting this all week. I've been saying this since the Ferguson fight that I thought he at least has a claim to it. Obviously, Khabib still existed, was sort of still a thing at the time. So, he couldn't be number one, but I was like, I'd said that was a compelling matchup. I'd like to see that. That didn't happen. When I saw he got the vacant title fight, I said, okay, this to me crowns the best. It's great. And there's certainly many worthy challenges out there who could end this title run before it begins. Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Again, if people want to talk about Patricio Pitbull because he beat Chandler, well, I guess actually that's out of the equation now. We don't really have to discuss that because Chandler didn't win. So really, we're thinking Oliveira, Poirier, Gaethje, and say Conor McGregor. He beats Poirier. Let's be honest, if we're doing MMA math. So there's names. There's names out there. There's contenders for him. But it's a great moment. I mean, we really should just focus on him. What an amazing fight that was. I know it was only a 1-round fight in 19 seconds. That's one of my favorite fights of the year. It was just so good and so high level. And congrats to both guys for putting on an awesome fight. And but especially to Do Bronx for really fulfilling this potential that so many people said he had. And in his 28th UFC fight, he gets the job done. So just an amazing story.
Yeah, couldn't really said it better. Casey, I just want to get your reaction to one thing Charles Oliveira said at the press conference, because I thought he knocked it out of the park. But I found it very interesting that he was asked about, can you finally say that you're no longer a featherweight? And he still has not closed the door on this. Like, this is something else. Like, what did you think of that response from Charles Oliveira saying, like, listen, if the UFC called me tomorrow and said, you want to go back to 45, I would take it?
That's kind of my favorite part about Charles Oliveira, and also maybe like the biggest problem with him is from a promoter standpoint. He's not a 45er. He wasn't highly successful at 45. He looked horrible at 45. Like his body, I actually, when my kind of pre-fight critique analysis of what I thought was going to happen, I kind of was questioning Charles Oliveira's durability against high level fighters, but I really think I was thinking of the featherweight Charles Oliveira, who clearly doesn't have the same durability as the gentleman that we saw tonight fight Michael Chandler. So it's just Charles Oliveira. He's a quirky dude. That's all. He's a quirky dude. But he is the UFC champ, and according to AK Lee, the best 55er in the world.
Yeah, I mean, in some people's eyes, that still remains to be seen. I think right now it's, to quote our good friend Mark Ramundi, It's a legitimate champion right there. He's a legitimate champion. That was a hell of a performance. He got it done. And lots of options, lots of big fights await Mr. DuBronx whenever that time comes. Seems like he's kind of likes the idea of fighting Connor, just planting those seeds. He was kind of like no-sold it, and then he went after it a little bit and said, "I'll put him on his ass."
But then his the pocketbook in his brain went, whoa, what are you doing, Charles? let's make this fight happen.
Yeah, back up the Brinks truck and get back on the microphone and respond to that. So big win for Oliveira. Tough night for Michael Chandler. Just you feel for the guy. He almost had the fight won. He was so close, but that's fighting, man.
If there's a way to lose, though, I would kind of say this was maybe the best way to lose for Michael Chandler, in the sense that, like we talked about this during the post presser, if they fought 50 times, I'm sure it'll go 25-25 each way, and it'll be 50 different outcomes. Just 50 different fights. So there was nothing in this fight that suggested Michael Chandler didn't deserve this fight or can't hang with the top level dudes in the UFC. Nothing that suggests that. It's just Charles Oliveira won tonight, and like Michael Chandler said 2,000 times, he should have zigged when he zagged.
Chandler was a bad referee stoppage away from becoming because in the first round, when he really badly hurt Oliveira, and Oliveira dropped to his knees, I believe now looking back that it was intentional for Oliveira. He was dropping down to change levels, change positions, and get a takedown. But I thought for a second, I'm like, man, there are other referees who I won't name who might have read that the wrong way. Especially since Chandler landed some shots on him. It's not like Chandler stopped swinging. As soon as he dropped to his knees, Chandler was still tagging him. There are other referees who might have said, "Oh, this guy's hurt. I'm going to jump in and save him." Thank goodness that didn't happen. Dan Mergliotta, a very solid veteran. Now, he's had his mistakes here and there, as any referee has, but he read the situation perfectly. He knew he knows the fighters that are involved. He knows Oliveira is of course a ground guy. He's going to go for that. So I was scared for him, and I thought, oh no, is this going to get stopped? And even in the moment, I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have complained at the time. It's probably after like Oliveira shot. I'm sure if that happened, Oliveira would have shot right up and been like, no, I'm fine. And so I wouldn't have complained, but that was touch and go for that 5-second window in there. So, but thankfully that didn't happen, and I think we got the rightful winner.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we said that too. Like, if that fight would have been stopped, I think we would have complained it was an early stoppage. But we also said, well, I've seen it earlier. So
yeah, we've seen it earlier. Don't get put in that position.
You can't put yourself in that position. But man, that's just. I'm actually like literally kind of tired right now, just because I think of the emotion of watching that fight. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just like I'm just like like that. So yeah, I'm just I just didn't expect such a. I kind of thought coming to this fight, even though Oliveira of course could win, but I really thought it was gonna be one-way traffic though. I thought once one fighter kind of took control, that's where it was going, and I was wrong. I was wrong, and it was one of those times like it's fun to be wrong.
Yeah, Michael Chandler was a Chris Taioni or a Keith Peterson away from being the UFC lightweight champion right now.
I wasn't naming names, Mike. I wasn't naming names.
Mike, come on, now we've
edit that out. Names now.
We're never going to get an exclusive Chris Taioni now. Jeez.
If I was naming names, I obviously would have said Erpdeen. But again, I'm not, so I didn't. Okay.
Oh
man. All right. What are the peeps saying? Let's go to the peeps.
You're ready for the peeps?
Yeah. While you pull that up, let me say one last thing. The whole card, I gave it a solid 7.5 out of not out of 10, out of a potential 8.5. I know people didn't see my gymnastics scoring thing earlier this week, but I said this card had 8.5 potential if everything went right. I thought it was a very good card overall, so I'll go 7.5. And I think if people watch it again, maybe without commentary, they'll appreciate sort of the Bontarine Schnell fight, which I thought was great.
That was weird.
That was a great
fight. The
fight.
Commentators were kind of.
It was a weird, yeah.
I was like, this is a fine fight. It's just maybe. I don't think they knew who they were. I don't think they knew who they were.
I didn't hate the Chookagian fight. I didn't hate I know it was a Caitlin Chookagian fight. I know it's become very, at least among us in the media, very on vogue to make fun of kind of her very active, not necessarily super impactful style. I actually thought she fought. I thought her jab looked amazing today. I thought her jab was effing up the left side of our face. So I thought Chookagian looked good today. I'm just gonna be honest. I know that people like to make fun of her style, but I thought that was decent.
I thought she lost the fight. I'm not screaming robbery. I scored it for Araujo, but
it's close.
But I thought Araujo won the first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely thought she won round 2. Yeah, I'm doing one of those close fight, not a robbery type things.
It's definitely not a robbery. Yeah. The 30-27 for Chookagian, tomfoolery. That is a garbage scorecard.
And Barbosa Burgos obviously lived up to the hype. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, good stuff.
So good. Oh,
okay, we have because we haven't got any questions on it, and I think I got forgotten all the mess. Can we talk about the biggest robbery of the night, Mr. Heck?
Yes, let us talk about the biggest robbery.
Real quick.
Kind of a cliffhanger on the post-fight press conference show. So we talked about Houston being a potential robbery hub because of the judges. We saw some crappy scorecards, but there were no all-out robberies tonight. The one robbery I think we can discuss was in the bonuses, because no disrespect to Christos Giagos, that was a great win. Another guy who battled back from adversity, because Sean Soriano looked pretty darn good on the feet in the first round of that fight. Gets a submission win, gets $75,000. Charles Oliveira, $75,000. Rightfully so. Fight of the night, Shane Burgos versus Edson Barboza. Why the hell did Andre Muniz not get a $75,000 bonus tonight? I mean, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? That is to quote the great Gorilla Monsoon, that is a miscarriage of justice.
That might be submission of the year. That's gonna be hard to beat as far as submission of the year. To freaking break Jacare's arm in 3 minutes or whatever in a one-sided fight. Unreal. And then I don't know. Come on. I don't. And then they gave it to another submission. I was like, they must hate submissions. But then they gave it to another submission that was cool. Jeez, man, you didn't break Jacare's arm. Even if he didn't break Jacare's arm,
you're right, exactly. He submitted Jacare in any way should automatically get you a bonus. Automatically. And then the arm break's just gnarly. But, okay, I mean, come on. Go ahead, AK.
Here's my devil's advocate. No, I absolutely agree. If I'm picking between the Giago submission and the Muniz submission, Muniz all the way. Oh, first he submitted Jacare.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. Jacare.
He broke his arm. That's insane.
I can hear the sounds. I hear the sounds.
The idea, just absolutely disgusting. So I was while you guys were talking, I was trying to look at the list of submissions we've had over since, I was going to say in the ESPN era, but that goes pretty far back. I wonder if, and this is pure speculation, and again, I could be forgetting a very recent example that's similar. I don't know. Are they, because it was such an ugly finish, because it was like an arm snapping, are they maybe trying to steer away from such a injurious finish? I know that sounds silly because
not.
I don't know. I'm trying to look at the
Chris Weidman's leg went like this or something, and then Dana White tweeted out the video saying, look at the quickest stoppage ever. Didn't even throw a strike.
Dana White did that, not ESPN.
You're wild.
There's a difference. No, there's a difference, right? ESPN would not have tweeted out something like that, right?
Tell me so tasteless
and just kind of grotesque. Again, people in the comments, please correct me if I'm wrong. If there's some other break that happened recently and I'm just completely blanking on it, or some insanely bloody, brutal finish that got replayed a million times in the broadcast, please tell me, because I'm just kind of just glancing over the bonuses from the last 20, 30 events, and it's all a bit of a blur. So I'm wrong about these things all the time. But that's really my only explanation. I have no idea why you wouldn't give Muniz a bonus. That's like you said, that could end up being our submission of the year when we make our lists at the end. So just absurd.
I wonder if it's because Jacare didn't tap or anything. The doctor just caught the break and then just stopped the fight. And Jacare was just oh, nice submission. And straight faced the whole thing. Just got his arm snapped and was just nicely done, sir. Let us meet tomorrow for some brunch and a cup of coffee. Like, didn't even like not a grimace of pain. And then look at Tony Ferguson and that heel hook. Two totally different things.
Oh, don't remind me of that. That looked almost worse, and somehow that kept going on. And I don't know.
But remember when Nogueira got his arm broken by Frank Mir?
Yes,
he kind of did the same thing. It snapped, and he just kind of looked at his arm like, this must be a malfunction.
It's like, well, such is life.
This is not the first time this has happened.
Take us to the back, and I'll just Mel Gibson this thing and just crank it in.
Can you imagine if the referee like didn't catch that? He would have kept fighting. He would have kept fighting.
Oh, but, you know, I appreciated Muniz. Muniz actually. Muniz, is that how you pronounce it? Muniz.
Muniz.
Yeah. Muniz. I said Muniz. Yeah.
I appreciate him kind of going kind of the jiu-jitsu code. He actually said he let go of the submission as soon as he felt the arm break, because he said in his, I think, post presser something about, you know, then I could do, if I would have kept going, I could have done much more serious, like permanent damage. I'm assuming like completely ripped the muscles and stuff. So good on him. And and somehow in all this talk, I feel like he is gonna be completely kind of forgotten about somehow. And I remember thinking, it's like, oh man, this guy might be the star of the night. We didn't even talk about him all fight week. I was like, Jacare versus this dude. And who knows? And who knows how good he is? He might be next Charles Oliveira in a sense. You know, just like this.
He's 3-0 now, right? 3-0?
Something like
that.
UFC?
Yeah. In the UFC? Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, I think one of the reporters asked Dana about, you know, when you signed Charles Oliveira when he was like 6 years old or whatever, 2,000 years ago. Did you know he was gonna be a champ? And I think Dana couldn't even lie. Dana couldn't even go, I saw potential. Dana was like, you never know. And who knows? The guy, the Muniz, you know, beating Jacare. Who knows? Like in a couple years, this guy is gonna be the guy that he's gonna be a champ.
He looks good so far.
Yeah, he looks good, man. So I was incredibly impressed.
Casey, can we start off with this question? I don't know if you see this one from Boyo. It's a Chandler question. His name is Boyo. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. To Chandler. Yes, I actually like this question. Okay,
here we
go. Chandler's getting a supreme back rub from the UFC and it didn't work out. Why can't they just push both fighters equally? I don't really know how to. Go ahead, AK.
Oh no. Okay, so yeah, I'll start. So I know, Mike, you've been on the post-fight press conference for like the last hour, so a little bit fresher in mind here. But yeah, so no, I get it. It's a legitimate question because I think the UFC did, by the way, an excellent job promoting Chandler. We've talked about it since he was supposed to be a backup for the was it for the Gaethje Khabib fight?
Yes.
Right, he's a backup. Yeah, on Fight Island, they had the promo prepared for that, which is unseen before for a Bellator guy. Like they almost never even mention the word Bellator, and it feels like when they're talking about Chandler, he's like one of the guys that they'll mention it. They want to mention how accomplished he is and all that stuff. So, did a great job promoting him. He's very active with the media, so credit goes to him as well. He never says no to like any interviews. He's just constantly out there, which is, you know, a love-hate thing. Some people are sick of his face already, and 2 UFC fights in. Some people are like, oh, this is great. This is the guy the UFC should be pushing, and obviously the UFC feels that way. So why don't they push them equally? Well, here's the thing: is when you go all in on a fighter and it pays off, the rewards for the UFC are enormous. So I get it. They probably, and look, if we were looking back on it, they probably miss more often than not. I mean, look, Ngannou in the first Stipe fight, they were pushing him like crazy. It didn't quite work out. We've seen it before. We've seen Sage Northcutt, of course, the guy they're pushing for a long time. It just didn't quite work out. But again, when you hit on someone like a McGregor, on a Khabib, nobody remembers the misses. You know, I should say, the majority of the people who tune in and get hooked on these stars like McGregor and Khabib and all these guys, they don't remember that stuff, and so it doesn't matter. So maybe it didn't work out with Chandler this time around. They can move on to the next guy. Maybe they get behind Do Bronx now. You know what I mean? So there's, as cynical as it kind of sounds, there's a reason to kind of put all your chips in on one fighter and hope it works out. Otherwise, they're the UFC. They can always course correct. There's really no major downside to getting these things wrong for them. So I totally understand what they did with Chandler. He could still be a star someday. So either way, they've maybe have laid the groundwork for it. So yeah, in a perfect world, every fighter in these kind of big fights would be pushed equally, and fans would whoever won, the fans would get behind that guy and create a star. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, again, and I think the key word for both of these guys is timing. Like, I just think the timing worked out for Chandler in such a big way. Like, just getting the Dan Hooker fight. Like, I feel like he, and I'm not taking anything away from the win because the win was amazing. I think he caught Dan Hooker at the right time. And I'm not saying that Dan Hooker had an off night. I just think maybe he did. Who really knows the answer to that question? But I think he just caught him on the right card at the right time in the right place. And all of this is just perfect timing. And it's not just the perfect timing, it's how you handle the timing and what you do with the time afterwards. Like Chandler cutting that, if Chandler just goes in there and is like, thanks, I love the UFC, like great, good stuff. But instead he cuts that Ric Flair promo and like just puts it over the top. And like people remembered that. It's such a massive way. Like even with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier in the main event and the way that fight ended, people are still talking about Michael Chandler equally as much. Like it was such a great moment for him. One interesting side note that I just saw from our colleague Damon Martin on Twitter. I want to get your thoughts on this, gentleman. 2 judges gave Michael Chandler 10-8 first round. What do you think about that?
Considering we all kind of acknowledge if the ref would have stopped the fight, we would have been okay. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, the refs judges seem to be completely inconsistent what 10-8s are, but there did seem to be enough domination and damage in that round. So I give it. I'm okay with it.
I thought Oliveira, because he had the back control and was doing damage from back control too, throwing actually a lot of punches from back control. I thought that he had done enough to avoid getting 10-8'd, but like Casey just said, normally a near finish is what we would call a 10-8, and so maybe because I have the benefit of now looking at the round as a whole, I would still stick with 10-9. But I guess if you're a judge and you're scoring it right after that moment too, that's kind of like how the round ended with Chandler doing so much damage. I could see how 10-8 could be on your mind. So I disagree with it. I don't like it. It's not even close to being the most egregious scores that we saw.
Not at all.
So in Houston tonight.
And I also back to this question from Boyo.
It's a great handle name.
That's a great handle. The UFC got behind Chandler because Chandler knows how to sell himself, and this isn't a critique on Charles Oliveira as a fighter. This is a critique on Charles Oliveira as a prize fighter. We work in this industry. I've seen Charles Oliveira fight probably 28 times now. I think I've seen all of his fights. I know zero about him. I know he wears glasses. I know he's from Brazil. I know he used to train in the States. Now he lives in Brazil. That's really all I know about him. Does he have a family? Does he have kids? I know he has a rock. You know, did he hold the rock
potato
tonight?
or something?
Oh no, maybe
Isn't
it's
it potato?
I'm not sure.
See,
I don't know.
And look,
I don't, and that's the part. I know so much about Chandler. I feel like,
yeah,
but I know nothing.
Look,
about
if it wasn't for the brilliance Guilherme Cruz, who wrote a long form on Charles Oliveira this week, which, by the way, people, is even more relevant now. For some reason, you didn't read that feature in the lead up to this card. Please read Gui's feature on Charles Oliveira and his upbringing and the insane difficulty he dealt with growing up as a child. And not just financial. There was he couldn't walk. They thought he wasn't going to be able to walk when he was a child. So, but you're right, Casey. Before this week, I did not know about any of that stuff. And if it wasn't for Gui, I don't think the UFC does a great job of putting those, at least in Charles Oliveira's case, I should say, because sometimes they grab some stories and push them really well. I didn't think they pushed this stuff or dug for this stuff at all. So maybe I missed it, but I mean, all three of us and everyone in the media, we're pretty good at catching these stories when they come by. So one of us would have caught it, and I never hear anyone talking about it again before this week. So yeah, that is a very fair point. You have to promote yourself a bit, if you're going to get that push. Yeah.
So that's all.
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of that with Chandler, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, I guess, but if you're a fan of Justin Gaethje, totally understand you having a gripe with Chandler getting the shot and the promotional push, and and some of the other newcomers they brought over. Like remember, not saying Manel Cape is like at the same level as Michael Chandler in terms of like how many people know who he is, but Cape comes in and like secretly becomes the backup fighter for the Figueiredo Moreno fight. No one knew like anything about him. Like hadn't even made his debut yet. Coming over from Ryzen. I mean, he's 0-2 in the UFC now. Should be 1-1 if we're being honest, but still, like he didn't get anything at all. Chandler was getting he weighed in as the backup for the Khabib Gaethje fight. He got an interview during the card with Anik and all those in DC and those guys. Like they pushed him, and they should have because you got to build him up. You got to make him feel like he's a big deal, even if. Especially in this division, like even if you're going to throw him up there against the Gaethjes and stuff like that, you don't want to make it seem like he is the B-level fighter or the B-league fighter like people like to say he is, and that's just so far from the truth because he proved it tonight.
Yeah. So.
But thank you, boyo. I could say that a million times.
Let's say it one more
so
time.
Fun.
One more time.
So fun.
You say it, AK.
Boyo. Thank you for the question.
What else we got? Pooh.
Who wants this one? Go ahead, Mike.
He's in that Cerrone territory right now. I think that's fair to say.
Was it who on Between the Links said that if Tony loses, that they could see Tony versus Cowboy again in a rematch? Was it Wendling that said that?
I think it was the Awesome Alex, yeah.
Yeah, the Awesome Alex. I remember her saying, I'm like, I don't know about that. But now the way I saw Tony performed tonight, well, first of all, let's see how bad Tony's knee is, because Beneil Dariush is a very experienced grappler, and he said that thing popped. That thing is done. So, and from what I recall, I mean, if you pop it like that, like you can still move on it, but once you put some serious weight on it or some lateral movement, it will slip, and you will. Part of his ACL or MCL is torn. There's no doubt. So Tony Ferguson, no matter what, might be out for God, I hate saying that, but a year. I mean, well, I know how long he was out last time when we tore his knee. He was only out for like 6 days or something. So who knows?
Yeah, he's a freak like that.
But assuming he comes back from his injury in a regular amount of time. Jeez, man, I don't know.
I should probably give up on my idea that I would like to see him try 170 because again, obviously, if he's getting handled by lightweights, what's a wrestler? A wrestler at 170 is just going to crush him, right? But I also think if you match him up the right way, because what's funny, we say he's in Cerrone territory. Cerrone was fortunate enough to kind of have a surge, sort of have a second life after he hit a bit of a slump. He went up to 170. They gave him good, sensible welterweight matchups. I think Patrick Cote, was in there. I think that was a good one. Rick Story. So I think you could do the same with Ferguson, right? I think if you give him welterweights outside the top 15 in the 20-30 range, he could at least have some entertaining fights. I don't think he'll be a contender at 170. Let's be honest, I won't go that far. I don't think he'd have the same kind of success Cerrone had. But it would at least freshen things up for him. Again, kind of avoid this weight cut, I'm sure, which isn't fun to do. And just give him some fun fights. And speaking of fun fights, we have a suggestion. Oh, where did it go? No, I want to read this. Oh, there you go. From Guido to Tony's, who says, why not Tony versus Nick Diaz at 170?
I was thinking the same thing. Same thing.
Screw it.
That's a beautiful. That is a beautiful fight, sir. That is a beautiful fight.
That's fine. That is a fine fight.
I enjoy everything. I enjoy everything about that.
But should we worry about will Ferguson contend for a UFC title at 170 or 155 ever again? I just think it's not. There's probably just no point discussing it anymore. He's 37 years old. He turned 37 in February. He's obviously still in great shape. Still a very talented guy, but a lot of mileage in fight years, and Dana White said it today. It catches up to everyone, and that's just life.
Yeah, I think you just give him names like that. If you do Nick Diaz, I'm fine with that. Give him somebody in that range that isn't a heavy grappler, like a fun stand-up fight with a guy that's not just gonna like continuously take him down and try to smush him. Like I know that's tough, but just fun fights where guys they'll just stand there and fight each other.
Tony Ferguson versus Carlos Condit.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of fun fights. I don't think Carlos wants to fight still. He's still a UFC fighter. He's still training every day. I don't think Carlos is going to be a title contender, But those are just kind of fun fights that, now we have the opportunity to make because Tony isn't in the run. He's not in contender fights. Let's have just awesome fight night main events, whatever, co-mains for pay-per-views or, just fun openers of pay-per-views. But I think the Tony being contender that ship sank.
Yeah. MMA is supposed to be fun. I still think if Tony Ferguson wants to still compete, and he doesn't have to, but if he wants to, I still think there's a lot of fun fights for Tony Ferguson left. So I'm not giving up on that. Yeah,
we don't need to throw him in there with these young, hungry whippersnappers anymore.
Gregor Gillespie. He should fight Gregor Gillespie. No, if I hear anyone, I'm sorry I even mentioned it, but I'm saying that's like exactly like the last thing we should be using Tony Ferguson's remaining fights for is fighting like up and coming contenders like Beneil Dariush.
I was thinking Tony Ferguson versus Paziz.
No.
We're not gonna do it. I was like, no. But
no Arman Sarukian, none of that.
Sarukian,
yeah, please, no.
But as a promoter, unfortunately for those gentlemen, they need victories like that, so it's gonna be this is how every fighter's career ends, though. When they're at the top, you can't be at the top, and at some point, you're feed for the prospects. So, we'll see. Ooh, all right. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this fun one.
That's a great username.
Burgos KO.
I would love to watch the Ennui Variety Hour. That's so good. That is so good.
So for those who didn't see it on Twitter or hear it on the press conference show we were doing, I spoke to Shane Burgos probably a little over an hour ago at this point, and just asked like how he was doing. He gave me permission to update everybody because I did reach out to him like just man to man and just asked about him. And then I was like, do you mind if I just throw this out there? And he goes, yep, go right ahead. He was at the ER awaiting a CAT scan, said he's all good. And then, quote, he said, I remember everything. It was just a weird feeling that shut my legs off slowly. I'm 100% safe, healthy, coherent, and remember it all. So he's fine. I don't know the results of CAT scan or anything like that. That's up for him to give the results if he wants to do so. But in terms of like his memory and, the ending of the fight, like wasn't like a brain thing. It's just his body just kind of shut down on him. His legs kind of gave out, and it's just a weird knockout. I've never seen anything quite like that before. Not with a punch of the face. Like I've seen it with like liver shots and stuff. We get that delayed reaction, but never like that.
Yeah, we see body shot all the time. This was freaky. This was so freaky. But the shot, the 1-2 that like ended it, he hit him like clean. Like those look like knockout blows. I am shocked that again he didn't go down right away. They caught a really good angle of sort of like the over the Barbosa shoulder, and you could see. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying. We know this now because it did turn out to be a knockout.
Wait, slow down.
I'm not Joe Rogan.
Slow down.
I don't have the magic powers of Joe Rogan where I can diagnose broken limbs and tears and like concussions like as soon as they happen.
Heart rates,
he's
breathing.
Heart rates. Yeah, he's a gifted man. I have to say. I wish I had that kind of skill, but. If there's replays, I'm sure they're all out there. You can kind of see. First of all, it's amazing that Burgos looks normal, like body wise looks normal. He's kind of like shifting side to side. Looks like he's getting ready to throw a strike, but his eyes kind of don't move during that whole time. His eyes are kind of just like staring. I don't know if they're staring at Barbosa. They're just kind of staring in a direction, and they don't move. Even once he starts falling, his eyes don't change, and that's how you kind of, at least in that moment, you kind of see like, oh crap. There's nothing going on. Like it's just a temporary shutdown. It's like this is going to sound like such a pithy comparison, but it's It almost looked like someone when they get up too fast. You get up too fast, and you're like, and then you're like, oh, I'm normal, and then you just suddenly start falling, and for us, it's just embarrassing. For poor Shane, it obviously was this accumulation of this damage in this fight and those two incredible knockout blows. But yeah, I just thought it was bizarre. We may not see it again for another 50 years, or it's MMA. These things happen in trends. It may happen again next week. I have no idea. But yeah, it's a very, very, very legitimate KO. He fell right down his face after. I think referee Mike Beltran could have been a little bit quicker going in, but I also don't blame him because he was also probably like, what the hell just happened?
I think that's what Barboza said too. He's like, "What? I don't know what's going on."
Yeah, right.
Like,
and Barboza's like, "I just got to go in and finish, I guess, because the fight's not over." So yeah, I'm not putting too much blame on Mike Beltran.
No,
I don't even know if we'd even seen that before. So they don't teach that in ref school. I don't think so. But yeah, very memorable. Might be the most memorable knockout we see in the UFC this year. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was wild, and I'm very happy that the UFC made it a top priority to send Burgos straight to the hospital, even though Burgos claimed that he was fine and everything, and I believe him too. But these very competitive fights like this, especially a guy like Burgos who cuts a lot of weight to make 45. Their brains are dehydrated still a little bit from the weight cut, and in a competitive fight, their brains are bouncing around. These are the fights where you can have long-term, very tragic brain effects, brain damage and stuff. So I really hope Shane's okay, and this doesn't, because that was a bad knockout, and these things sometimes can really affect you for the rest of your career. So I really hope it doesn't do that, because Burgos is clearly a very, 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 very talented featherweight who, unfortunately, with a knockout like that, will be out for a little bit. But the 75K should make it just a bit sweeter.
Yeah, just had another kid, so there you go. Yeah, congratulations to Edson Barboza. 3-0 as a featherweight. No more sleeping on that, man. No more sleeping on him. That was some performance.
Yeah, where are we putting Barboza? Where like what's?
Oh, it's easy. This is easy.
The one that is the one that literally everyone's been calling for after I've been getting tagged by a bunch of people who are calling for this matchup. But Mike, I'll let you say it.
Dude,
I assume
I mean, this is no secret, because if you listen on to the next one 2 weeks ago, I already mentioned this, and I'm going to stay with it. And even if Shane Burgos won, it still would be the same fight. It's Barboza versus Giga Chikadze. That is the fight to make.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. The one I've been hit, but the one I was going to hit with a lot tonight was Yair. But again, it's hard to match it with Yair just because we just don't know what his deal is, when he plans to book a fight again. There's a lot of mysterious. Like, the guy's camp is just very mysterious, which is fine. That's fine. I'm not saying they have to be telling us in the media everything, but it is weird. We never hear just like anything from there about what their plans are. So yeah, I think Giga's the option. Yair definitely in the conversation. Just where is Yair? We have no idea. But yeah, great. It's just great to have Barboza in that mix at 145. Oh man, that's so fun.
But for Barboza, is he going to be almost in the same position pretty soon that he was in at featherweight? I mean, that he was at lightweight, in the sense that he was always, Barboza never fought for a title, but he was always that one fight away from fighting for the title, and then he'll lose that fight. Do we see Barboza actually winning that fight to get to that featherweight? I'm not saying he'll be the featherweight champion, but will he fight for the featherweight belt eventually?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's the road. It's a long road, man. If it happens within the next 2 years, it'll be because like someone falls out and they need him. Because I mean, just look at the names here. You got Giga, you got Ige, you got Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett's coming back maybe the end of this year, early next year. You got Cater, you got Korean Zombie, you got Yair, you got Ortega, you got Max freaking Holloway, and then you have the champion. So I mean, this isn't like a thing. This is like one of those tough divisions where you can't like. It's pretty hard to just like shoot somebody up 10 spots and throw them into a fight, because there's a lot of other guys who have like compelling arguments. Like if he passes, like if Arnold Allen isn't getting a fight, like I would I would do Barboza versus Chikadze. No issue with that. Chikadze is a top 10 guy. Totally fine. You got Ige versus Korean Zombie. Emmett's kind of the wild card because you don't know when he's coming back. I like the idea of doing Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. I think that makes a lot of sense for his comeback fight, which September, October is what Kattar's looking at right now. Maybe sooner. If it was up to Kattar, he'd fight freaking next week because he's an animal. Yeah, and we don't even know what's happening with the title. Like, we don't know when that title fight's going to happen.
Oh God!
So it's a long road, man. It's a long road.
Oh. So let's just say it now. Then, do you think Edson Barboza will ever compete for the UFC featherweight title? If I have to give a binary answer, I'll say no. I don't think it happens.
I want to say no, but freaking Charles Oliveira just won the title tonight.
No, it's true. Anything can happen.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's just like I don't know. And like if you a year from now, Barboza versus Brian Ortega, I don't know. Who knows? Well, not a year from now, but no, freaking tough. Oh God.
Volkanovski. Maybe Volkanovski clears out the division, right? And it's like we need a veteran name to step in there with him, and there you go. But I'll say no. I don't think he ever gets his title shot.
Wow.
His best chance will be to just ride the wave wherever the UFC wants to take him. Like, no complaining. Don't say like I'm fighting a top 5 guy next, or I'm not fighting. Like, you just take the fights and you fight and you perform like you did tonight. And if you do that continuously, look at Michael Chandler. The phone rings and you say yes every single time. Good things happen, especially in a division this loaded and this packed. So I'm not going to rule it out. I would say, just based on the talent in this division, I would say no. But would it surprise me? Hell no. Wouldn't surprise me.
But as we kind of said earlier, talking about let's not always focus necessarily on title stuff, like we were saying with Ferguson. Like, are there fun fights? Let's just enjoy that there are so many fun fights for Barboza at 145 for however long he plans it. And he can always go back up to 155, and there's more fun fights up there. So good for him. He seems to be happy at 145, but man.
Oh my God, a rematch between Barboza and Ferguson at 55, one of the best fights ever. That ain't no wrestler. Oh man, you made my heart. You woke me up. I was just like, oh my God.
I kind of want to see him fight Felder again. I'd love to see a third Felder fight, if I'm being honest. I think there's unfinished business there, but I don't know. That probably doesn't happen. But again, he just has so many options.
And I know Burgos obviously he needs to get healthy again, man. But Burgos now on a 2-fight losing streak. That sucks. But I don't know. Burgos versus like Lando Venata.
Lando.
Why not? You're on a 2-fight losing streak. Lando's now, he had a good win.
Maybe not next.
Why not?
Maybe not next. I don't know.
Where's Burgos at now?
You're giving Venata a top 15 guy right off the bat with one win.
Yeah,
That's insane.
Lando's a vet.
I don't care. Not in this division.
All right. I think
this isn't flyweight. This is not the flyweight division.
He barely won. He got 30-27 according to one judge.
Yeah, geez.
So you're going to jump Sadiq Youssef, Hakeem Dawodu, Mavzar Evloev,
to fight Shane
Bryce
Burgos?
Mitchell.
To fight Shane Burgos? Shane Burgos on 2-fight losing streak. You fight a guy way in the back of the line now. You fight a tough guy in the back of the line.
I think you're insane.
I got to think of this. He might be my wild card for on to the next one. So I really enjoyed Lando at Lando's today, 145 today. But might be my wild card. We'll see. So then I'll get back to you on this one, Casey.
All right.
Another win. How about Venata versus Cub Swanson? I'm okay with that. He beats Cub, then he can fight Shane Burgos.
I don't know if those guys would fight each other because
they
were training partners for a very long time. Maybe.
I think so.
I'm
yeah.
not sure. But
take that out of the equation.
Take that out of the equation. Yeah, I mean,
something like that.
But why do we want to do that to Cub? We don't want to throw Tony Ferguson in with like a who'd I say Faziz, but we'll throw Cub Swanson in there.
He could beat Venata. I wouldn't look at that as like a walkover at all. Yeah, I wouldn't look at that as a walkover for Venata at all.
Yeah,
you guys aren't Venata believers. That's all I'm sensing.
I'm a big Venata believer, but I'm kind of seeing what Mike is saying. Let's not rush.
I need more.
He kind of got rushed. he kind of got rushed after he had his crazy debut, right? And then suddenly and I was part of it too. I remember when I was the outlet I was working at before MMA fighting, I was working at a score, and he was like one of my 5 guys who was like will be a future UFC star. I don't even want to know who else I'd put in there. They probably all missed. Mackenzie Dern was in there, so that was a pretty easy call. Mackenzie Dern was in there at the time. But I know, Lando is certainly in that list as well, and there's still time. But probably got pushed a little too soon. So if Mike is saying,
Andre, how about Venata? Like Venata versus Jared Gordon is fine. Like he's a vet. Mm-hmm. That's a good step. That's a tough fight. I mean, Andre Feely's interesting.
Casey's excited. Like, Casey wants to see more Lando.
Yeah,
but like
I love watching Lando fight.
So freaking Lerone Murphy, like he just jumps Lerone Murphy.
It's not jumping. You're fighting a guy on a 2-fight losing streak. Like this is the easy fight for Shane Burgos. Easy fight, easy comeback. Easy tune-up fight for Shane Burgos.
David Sandine in the comments. Is he?
Yeah, I can't.
Lerone Murphy got booked against someone. Yeah. It's a good fight.
I know who it is. I know when it is, but I haven't confirmed officially confirmed the other side, so I can't tell you.
David Sandine in the comments just reminded us that Cub gave Lando his nickname. I think they actually mentioned that on the broadcast today.
Yeah, they were like buds.
Okay, so Cub's out.
Okay, so Cub's out.
I think they might still do it, but
no, they won't do it.
Freaking Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy's listening to us right now. Like, how dare you, Casey Leydon? Bruce Leroy's like just winning fights left and right. How dare you?
Bruce Leroy. How dare you? Is he going to be the next UFC champ after like 45 fights in the UFC?
Gosh, can you imagine?
Dude, there's a lot of fun fights for Lando. Gavin Tucker would be awesome. Like there's so many. Billy Q's fun. There's so many.
Lando outside someone. Yeah. No, you can't screw up booking Burgos. You can't screw up booking Venata. So whatever.
Yeah. Casey's ready to throw Lando Venata in to face the winner of Volkanovski versus Ortega. This is unbelievable.
He fought Tony Ferguson on his first fight on 20 minutes notice. He can do it.
Yeah, speaking of horrendous scorecards, 30-27 for Grundy was the worst scorecard of the night.
That just made 0 sense.
I'll say it was. I thought it was actually a really good fight, and I actually like I tweeted like, man, this. Can I swear on our post-fight show, Casey? What's our policy on swearing? I was like, this shit is high level. I was like, this is a great fight. Like I had Lando clearly winning 2 of the 3 rounds. But I mean, Grundy was in there. Grundy was catching him a lot. I don't know if it was I can't remember how the commentary was calling the fight. Grundy was landing a lot, but I mean, he definitely was losing the striking.
Yeah.
Lando's takedown defense was awesome. His takedown defense was because Grundy is a really, really good wrestler. And Grundy, it's not like he had an off night. I think his wrestling was on point. It's just that Venata was so prepared. And got out of some sticky situations. So it was a really exciting fight. I just can't imagine Grundy winning more than one of the rounds. If you want to give him one, I could totally understand. With 30-27, it's just wild. Really.
And no, I love when DC is like really on, he's on. And I thought DC did a great job breaking down Grundy's strategy and not necessarily mixing his martial arts, basically. I thought Den Thomas was great too, has the kind of the fourth person in the booth, whatever you want to call that. I thought Den sounded great, and I thought they just gave great breakdowns of this fight in particular, of just Grundy's limitations and what he would need to do and what Venata was doing good. And I just liked it a lot, and make sure I want to give a thumbs up to those guys. They did a great job breaking down that fight.
Yeah, I love Dean in that role. Great spot for him.
I love Trevor Whitman, but if he's busy, call Dean.
Absolutely. Totally fine with it. Do a couple more. I thought Wright deserved performance of the night. Fast finish on the card. I'm torn on this one because I don't know. I think you have to weigh a lot of factors into like awarding these. Like I think Muni's submitting Jacare is like there's just no beating that. You just can't beat it. I feel like Jordan Wright stopping Jamie Pickett. No, and this is no disrespect. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but in terms of like level of competition, this was this was the lowest level win on the entire fight card. Like, you're still getting, like, I thought the days of shooting for a takedown and getting elbowed 5,000 times in a row, I thought these days were over. Like, I thought we've gone beyond this. Apparently we haven't. And yeah, I mean, listen, Jordan Wright is a savage. That was a savage performance. And he shot it like a freight train and finished the fight, and it was impressive. But of like all the finishes on the card, this is probably, in my eyes, just based on like all the criteria I think they probably use, this is probably like last on the list for me.
What do we think about Jordan Wright, though?
He reminds me of Bo Burnham. You know who Bo Burnham is? The actor?
That's pretty
He's about
good.
to play you'll know who he is. Yeah, Mike, you definitely know. He's about to play Larry Bird in the Lakers biopic that's coming out. People might have seen him. He was in Promising Young Woman, was the Academy Award nominated film this year. So he was a YouTube guy before. I don't know. That was the first time I saw him in the movie.
Okay,
he kind of reminds me of Bo Burnham.
We're talking more about Bo Burnham than Jordan Wright now.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. What do you think of Jordan Wright? Beverly Hills Ninja. It's a fantastic name. Fantastic. R.I.P. Chris Farley is a great name. He just looks like, I saw people making sort of Sage Northcutt-y jokes because he does seem like a clean cut young man, a traditional martial artist. So I understand. I understand the appeal to that. Yeah, no, I look, he's unassuming. If you're wondering like why we're kind of not getting around to talking about him until now, and almost sort of, and by the way, I know it sounds so silly, like we're saying a 64-second TKO on a UFC card doesn't, was not deserving of a bonus in this if you're picking 4 bonuses. But again, his time will come. If we're overlooking him, then I mean, by all means, call us out for it. I think it's certainly possible we are. But I do think it's Mike mentioned it, and Casey always mentions when we're talking about bonuses, that context matters, competition matters. Jamie Pickett, again, just doesn't have that reputation in the UFC yet. He's now 0-2. He might be out of the UFC after this fight. So, yes, finishing someone like him as opposed to finishing someone like Jacare is a big difference. So, but yeah, I think Jordan Wright has a lot of potential to be, I'm not going to say a star, but certainly a reliable fan favorite for the UFC. Someone they can put on a guy who will become reputable. The UFC can run main cards. Yeah, I think he has potential.
I absolutely think he could be a star in this, but more like a star in that Chase Hooper type of star. just I don't know if you get a chance to watch his post-fight interview backstage. You just learn a lot more about Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright. Hey, Boston Zone. Yeah. I watched Jordan. I met him years ago when he trained at Albuquerque, and he stuck out like a sore thumb because he would wear these super colorful spats. He doesn't carry himself like a fighter. He's not like, because like he'll be in the same match with like Diego Sanchez and Cowboy Cerrone and they're in Lando, and then there's Jordan Wright. Jordan. Now I got Jordan Knight in my head. Jordan Wright, and he's just like. I'm like, is that? I remember talking to Greg Jackson. Is like, is he any good? It's like he's throwing these crazy kicks. Does that really work? He's like, oh no, he's a hard worker. He's going places. And I was like, okay. So super nice, happy for him, and yeah, we'll see what's in the future for him. But with this win, I mean, yeah, he definitely has a few more. Well, at least minimum 3 more times. We'll see him in the UFC.
Yeah, he needs to just rattle off some wins.
Yeah.
Like it's tough. Like I kind of feel for him because of the Contender Series thing, and people look at his record and they're like, "Oh, you fought a bunch of cans," which I think is kind of unfair. Just you get these fights and you fight them, and that's who you fight. Like sometimes you have control over that, and sometimes you don't. The win over Ike Villanueva was, I mean, it was a cut, so he didn't get a ton of credit for that. The Joaquin Buckley knockout loss kind of stings a little bit. But listen, get him in there, build his confidence, give him wins, give him some wins, and let his personality shine. He's like a combination of Bo Burnham, Sage Northcutt with like a sprinkle of Jordan Levitt, like just a little bit of all of those guys. Just a unique dude. He is him. A little touch of Levitt. Good dude. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was the Chookagian tap legit? Oh, come on. This is a bad
Nah.
question.
What
Love
was
you,
up?
John.
What was up with that? That was clearly. I get going. Oh, just look at that real quick. Okay, but I felt like they rolled that replay like 10 times. It was weird. Like was that? Did I just imagine that? I felt like they were really kind of really breaking it down like the Zakuta film. You know?
They were also talking about it before they went to the replay. I don't know if it was Cormier who brought it up first, and then Rogan who said that the truck had told him that they should check it out. So I put a lot of the blame on Rogan, but I still no, and I don't take it back because I do think the way him and Cormier both
the way they framed it
was so bizarre. Like oh, this is a fishy thing we have to check out. And it's like you gotta be a little more neutral, I think, when you're introducing these things, because now again we have people ask this question. I saw people on social media, again, a lot of reactions saying they thought they got tap, and again, that's not entirely on the commentaries team, but I didn't see anything live, and I didn't even notice till they started talking about it when they showed the replay. Hell no, that wasn't a tap. No, this isn't.
No.
Who's the guy? Who was the guy who just fought Verdum?
Fajeda.
Verdum's opponent.
Cesar.
Yes, Fajeda. No, not Muchans. No, Henan Fajeda, I think. Henan Fajeda, I think. But apologies if I got that wrong. But no, there's no controversy. I think here. They were trying and credit to the commentary team. Yes, they replayed it, but once they were done with the replay, they never brought it up again.
Okay. I think Den Thomas came in and basically shut it down real quick. It's like, no, she looked like she's reaching for her hand. Okay, moving on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And even the producer, Zach Candido, who Anik references a lot on the broadcast, he was on Twitter, and he even put out like a quick little thing saying, like, listen, wasn't a tap, but still I figured, like, with the context of the broadcast, it was important to bring up the replay and show you guys. Like, he was an open book about it, and that was it. I don't mind the replay,
that was it. Yeah, I agree. I think AK was correct. It was the framing that Rogan did that kind of.
Rogan
DC probably more. But I should have gone harder on DC. Yeah, I think it's a little more DC that was kind of pushing it. Look, they just want some of that PFL heat. All right, PFL.
Get that PFL.
Everyone was talking about that Verdum Fajeda fake tap thing. All right, I get it. You want to get on some of that heat, man. Fake tap. The kids love the fake taps. Love them.
Hey, man, the UFC need that promotional push somehow. They gotta get.
This is true. Yeah,
they gotta get a buzz going.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. If you're Araujo's management team, maybe you file a little appeal with the crazy Texas commission. Maybe they're just crazy enough to overturn it. We didn't have a lot of controversy here, but maybe we get some post fight sting here. You know, I would do that.
Let's keep it on Chookagian real quick.
All right, we'll do this and maybe one more. Is Chookagian screwed as long as Valentina Shevchenko show? I know she has won 3 of her last 4 fights. Just hard to match her up. I think Lauren Murphy, if she beats JoJo, has to be next. I think if JoJo wins, she has to be next. Listen, Katlyn Chookagian won the fight, but the biggest winners of all were Lauren Murphy and Joanne Calderwood, because Viviane Araujo was the wild card in this whole thing. If she went out there, I scored at 29-28 Araujo. Had she gotten the decision, it wouldn't have been enough anyways. But if Araujo went out there and just put it on her and 30-26'd her or stopped Katlyn Chookagian, she could have jumped both of those ladies. It was very possible. But now it's a clear path. June 12th, we will have a number 1 contender. It's either Lauren Murphy or Joanne Calderwood. Whoever wins that fight will fight Valentina next. I think we can all agree with that, right?
Yeah. Last thing about Chookagian, we can answer this quick yes or no. Can Chookagian do anything inside the octagon that will get her a rematch with Valentina?
Yeah, she'd have to get a finish, but it's just not.
Just a finish. Is that all
she needs to get a finish? She has no finishes in the UFC, right? I'm not mistaken in this, right? She's never.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, the amount of decisions.
She has 3 finishes in her career. 20 fights, 16 victories, 13 by decision. And by the way, guys, look, we're not saying decisions are the worst thing in the world. You can win a lot of exciting decisions, right? Sometimes you don't get finishes, but she definitely has a style which is, as we said, is kind of easy to critique. It's easy for fans to kind of scoff at and not really get into. So yeah, I think the question was that Joseph Boza that asked. I think. I think it has a lot of merit.
I'm asking,
and you're asking. Yeah, I think the question has a lot of merit. She would have to do something if she could win, because if she wins. This, I thought, like I said, was one of her more exciting fights, and I still saw people crapping on it.
Yeah.
So if she wins like 3 more fights like this, I still don't think she gets a title shot with Valentina on top. They just don't want to see. There's just no reason to want to see that fight again. And again, that sucks. In a perfect world, it'd be like,
yeah. I feel like
I don't know, mandatory challenges like boxing.
I almost feel like she's almost like a poor woman's Holly Holm trying to fight Amanda Nunes again. It's just like we're like, oh, we saw it one time already. But
without having the Ronda Rousey,
without having
that you could just ride that for like literally the rest of your life. Yeah, she doesn't even have that moment. So yeah.
All right. So sorry.
But guess what? But guess what? If Holly Holm goes out there in her next fight and like starches somebody, she would get a title shot. Like she would. She would get a title shot. I mean, they're in 2 completely different places.
Yeah. Well,
which is just bizarre to think about. But yeah, Chookagian, it's tough, man. And even she knows it. She called it Alexa Grasso. She's not sitting there screaming at the rooftop saying, I'm next. Give me the damn title shot. She's like, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to start knocking off these contenders. And you know what? I dig it. I think she's very smart.
That would be horrible matchmaking for the UFC.
I'm fine with it.
No, it's a good fight. But in terms of building up contenders for Valentina, which they are in constant, desperate need to, Chookagian, the matchmakers must freaking hate Chookagian because all she does is talk about contenders, and they need to build up contenders to sell Valentina fights.
Grasso's an interesting test for her, though.
Yeah,
Grasso's an interesting test for her because she's a really good striker, and now she got some wrestling in her back pocket now too. So.
But you know who else was an interesting test? Viviane Araújo. So did not work out for Araújo tonight. Though again, like you said, it was a pretty close fight. No, but I absolutely respect Chookagian, like I said, just calling other names out because listen, if you cannot be the belle of the ball, you can at least spoil the party for everyone else. And I have so much respect for that.
Is that your motto? Is that your motto, AK?
I have ruined many parties in my day. So I have. Caitlin Chookagian definitely is a kindred spirit.
Prince of positivity, the belle of my ball.
All right, last question. What do we got? I said we're going 30 minutes. We're over an hour now.
Sorry.
We had to do it.
We're gonna end it on a downer because the answer is absolutely the answer is absolutely yes. Like no matter how that fight ended, like if Muniz just won the fight, that was probably the last time we see Jacare. Like
no,
that's 4 losses in a row. You think he fights again in the UFC?
Oh, this is in the UFC? Oh, I thought it just said the last time we see him fight. I do think they give him another fight. I think we have ourselves. I think he ends up on an ESPN main card. We at least have ourselves a nice story of a proper farewell where he's hopefully not matched up with someone who can snap one of his limbs. If I were betting, of course, I'd say we said this before the preview shows. He's a big ticket item. He's over $200,000 last time we checked. Show money. It's a lot of money. So yeah, he could obviously go the Alistair Overeem route, the Anderson Silva route, and just kind of part ways with the company. But if he's willing to either take less for his next fight, or if they don't mind taking that one more big hit from Jacare, I think they give him one more shot to go out on a less grisly note.
I think he gets one more shot, and it'll be like vet versus prospect.
I'd like
like Jacare versus Jordan Wright, something like that. I'm not saying Jordan Wright in particular.
Oh, there it is. There
you go. That's something. Yeah. Throw them in there. Just an easy tune-up victory for Jacare Souza.
There you go. See, we ended on a positive note. See, there you go.
I'm not even gonna answer this question then. How about that?
We already did. You already did. Casey and I are trying to.
Yeah, there's just no way. There's just no way
that he fight. That give Jacare a good fight to leave the UFC on.
He's lost 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Donald Cerrone's lost 29 billion fights in a row. We're still gonna get one more fight for him. Tony Ferguson's gonna get another fight.
Donald could fight next week. Jacare cannot fight next week.
He'll stare at his arm. You're like, I'll just use this arm more. He's good.
I mean, listen, let me rephrase that. Jacare would fight next week, but he physically cannot fight next week.
Yes, that he would not be allowed to. I would hope so.
That's a losing attitude. That's a losing attitude.
I'd like to see him fight again. If they brought him back, I would love it. I love Jacare. He's fun. He's great. He's a legend. I just don't see it happening.
Jacare versus
2022. He'll be back. One more.
Yeah.
One more.
That's
one
it.
More. No, we got this.
No, one more fight. No more questions.
Oh.
No more questions. We're done.
No more questions.
Hey,
We gotta hit.
I didn't put it up on the screen. Any Jake Paul questions? We got them. I didn't put them up.
And yet you had to mention his name.
We're not even on air right now. No one's hearing this. It's just us.
Oh, okay, you're right. Sorry,
I'm
we're already off the air.
I'm taking the Dana White approach to that whole situation at this point. Like, stop asking me about it.
Did he answer the question though? It was about GSP. He didn't answer the question.
No, because he's smart. He knew what he was doing. And then he turned on the media. He goes,
So is it
Yeah,
true?
he was-
Is it true?
He gave his version of no comments, which was, of course, not. He doesn't just say no comments. He said a lot of other stuff too. But yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But listen, we're getting out of here. We're done. Me and AK are going to be recording on to the next one in like 6.5 hours. And I'm ready. I'm already ready. I have my ideas already. So until then. All right, we're ending on our positive note. For Casey, AK, I'm Mike Hack. Hope you guys all enjoyed the show. Good night, everybody.